Okay, well, I'm fueling up for my run. Today's my run day. But I did my. Oh, let me turn this down here. I forgot I had that on. There. Here we go. Get back to this. What did I do? Here we go. Oh. Yeah. My first part was about the resurrections, the three resurrections, and how that would have been big news, and Paul would have been all over that, and that would see huge tell right there about how nothing was mentioned at all about any of it, when that would have spread like wildfire if that actually happened. And it was happened 3 times. Okay, fine. So that was my first video, going through all that, and I got into the tomb and all that stuff. But I want to continue with that theme. So I asked it, I said, the virgin birth is all part of the deification. See, that was the whole thing about the resurrection. And that story has serious flaws. Okay. Number one, we don't know it doesn't we know it doesn't happen. But number two, okay, there's a lot of inconsistencies all over it. So he gets into it. You're absolutely right in the pattern deification, but it only appears in 2 Gospels. So they don't agree. See, Mark? Say nothing. John? Nazareth. See, Jesus of Nazareth. You're always your name was always, somebody from somewhere. Jesus of Nazareth. There's no Bethlehem. And Nazareth was a scene central. Jesus was from Nazareth. His family was, I don't see how historians get around that. That's the next question I'm gonna ask. The virgin birth appears in only 2 Gospels. Only Matthew and Luke include this. See, it tells you right there. If Mark didn't mention it, and this is the first known Gospel, and all the rest came later, and you're talking, a decade or 2 after. Excuse me. John, you're talking many decades. Excuse me. Common. This is all common. They attach it to give people larger than life status in the minds of the masses. Standard literary device. Even the Nagaweya, the great peacemaker, the great legend of the North American, the basis of the Iroquois Confederation was him. He was remember, he was the one that had the story about the arrows. He finally got all the leaders around. He finally was able to get the leaders to meet. I think it was 6 of the other, 6 of the other tribes. And he got them around the fire, and he started talking to them. He says, look, you guys are killing each other and fighting for the same territory over and over. Why don't you just all sit down and work this out? And the other thing is if somebody comes in and tries to take over this area, you can't, look, here's the 6 arrows, and here's one. He says, look, there's 1 arrow. And look how easy it is to break this arrow. See? Now he took 6 arrows in the bundle, and he couldn't, see, I can't do any, this is too strong to break. Do you not understand the wisdom here? And they all got it, that mutual cooperation and respect is much more profitable in all levels of the human experience than constant contention and fighting over everything all the time. See, anyway, let's go on with this. They disagree on all this. They disagree. So all this stuff is, you would think, okay, the claims would say this would be, there would be continuity in the stories, but it's not there. It's just not there. In 2 independent accounts, the theological storytelling. See, this is what happens. You have to. That's what you end up. Your deductive reasoning basically comes to that conclusion. See? So, this is the thing that's very interesting. See? So he had to be put. See, he had to be put there to fit the say, and he didn't fit there, but they put him there anyway, so he would fit into the narrative. See? See, this is exactly how they made a myth around that. That's part of this, the legend versus the historical figure story. Never happened. This is a big one. Claimed, see? Which is historically impossible. Matthew Starr. No way. See, this is a bit. The genealogies can just see this sort of thing. They had to play with that. No one else in the New Testament mentions it. Nobody else. See? The conclusion, historically grounded. Part of the deification. It's a classic example, legendary development. And then I come down here and it never really claims divinity. See, he never really did. From what I understand, there is some discussion about fragments. There's some fragments that they have. They got like 5,000 or 6,000 pieces, some real big pieces, and some complete books of the New Testament. And there's one little one that says, all the others, there's a bunch of them that say, "I am a son of God," and there's one that says, I am the Son of God." So it's just one fragment out of, and all the other narrative doesn't fit that. So right there, you can kind of see that the weight of evidence. Kind of, okay, somebody wrote that down, but the rest, see. So the weight of evidence, okay, is overwhelming. The most important distinctions, okay, likely said about himself, and what later Christians came to believe about him. They were taught to think about him this way. Paul started this. Say, when you strip away later theological layers, does not clearly or unambiguously claim. He doesn't. He never says, "I am God." He prays to God. See, this is what's interesting about it. It's right there in your face. If he was one, he wouldn't be praying to. Say he'd be praying to himself. See, it doesn't make any sense. The whole Trinity thing doesn't make any sense. That's all made up. He doesn't know when. He gets angry, tired, hungry, human characteristics. Got mad at a fig tree for not bearing fruit. Irritable. I'm hungry. You get like that. You get ornery. Not violent, just ornery. You get a rawr. He does it repeatedly. See? Marks Jesus as a prophet, the Messiah, the messenger. He firmly believed he was a chosen messenger, an apostle, a preacher, because he believed that he was convinced it was coming soon, so he was going to basically try to do something about it. See? Not divine. See, John, the last one, is the only one. I and the Father are one. Yeah, one in spirit. See, this is what I said in my other comment. Before was I am. So this is difficult because what he may be saying is he's not, but he was conceived in principle before Abraham, and then, see, there's a different way of looking at that. See, but they want to look at it one way. He's divine, you say, but these statements do not appear. Okay. Humanities theology. See, they had this consensus. Okay, what they came up with, because their master was gone. And this was written a century later, John, 90 years later. So this was a group consensus of a bunch of people that got into that book. And Jesus never spoke in Hellenistic ways. He was Aramaic centric, Essene. That's the Essene thing I want to get into. John is a theological portrait, not a biography. Absolutely correct. It's a recharacterization, the cosmic Jesus. The Logos, you say. The source of all things, you say. Just takes it completely. See, compare Mark, okay, to that. See, there's no totally different characterizations. Jesus speaks like a prophet. Yes, he does. Son of Man. This was that's what the sons and daughters of God. That's how the Essenes saw themselves. He was a son of man, and uh, see, because you couldn't be anything else. You say, calls God my Father and your Father. Right? See, right there, you start getting into it. It says the Father is greater than He is. See, He always deferred, denies knowing. I'm not all knowing, you know. Praise for He. If you were you, see, you wouldn't have to go commune with the Father if you were God. Praise for guidance. You would know instinctively, intuitively, would you not? Why would you pray for it if you were one with the Father? But you were one with the Spirit, so you had the avenue. And that's where the delusion came in. Submits to God's will as He thought it to be so. None of this fits the self-understanding of literal divinity. I mean, just a logical deduction there. Deductive reasoning about what we know and don't know. Jesus' followers didn't think He was God. Saying, of course not. Well, there's a thing about, do you know who I am? Do you know who I really am? Say, it's just like if they didn't think He was God, but they knew He was something other than just one of them. Okay, so they thought. During Jesus' ministry, His family thinks He's out of His mind. See, that was the thing. That was blasphemy, what He was claiming. And John was having, I mean, his brother James was having a serious problem with this. His disciples misunderstood Him constantly. He was speaking from a different place. He was in a semi-delusional state because he believed himself to be the one. No one worships Him. No one calls Him God. Okay? They want to, but He says no. You have to. Why call me good? The only one that is good is the Father in heaven. I said that already. People see Him as prophet or Messiah, not divine. That's what this as God developed after, over time. See, fully God, fully man, later created. See, that then we got into the Council on Nicaea. How are we going to resolve this? Because Jesus, if Jesus is God, that He can't be part of the defiled world, can He? Therefore, He can't be man. He has to be something else. Well, He's a hybrid, which is what I came up with. Classic legendary development. Believed He had a special mission. This is it. See, that's the thing, kind of chosen for the purpose, and He had this unique communication link, but not as God. One in spirit, like I said. Historically grounded. Thank you. Now, let's get down here. Strip all the supernatural stuff and reduce Jesus to a core philosophy is what I have done. I spelled that. I get along with these philosophical Christians. I pick up on whether or not they see me through the apostate lens or not, and if they don't, then I can deal with them. Once I sense that thing, then no. I know that I can't be. They've already decided the rules of their place where I'm supposed to enter, as opposed to both of us entering the place neutrally, like I keep talking about. That's where it happens when you're allowed to create that place. There's a place between each of us. When we stand across, that's why He said, when two or more of you are gathered in my name and have the mutual cooperation, respect, the spirit of that things are better. Things work better. That's basically what He was trying to say in the simplest terms. I get along with these, okay. A lot of thoughtful people eventually do. You separate the mythical layer like I said, I take all the superstitious stuff and I put it off to the side. It's part of the story. You can't ignore it, but and how it weaves in. But you have to take it for what it is. A layer, okay, to add meaning on that level, say, ethical, philosophical layer. See, this is what Jefferson did, see, and he's totally criticized by the fundamentalist Christians for what he did. And the thing about it is that him and Adams were pretty much in the same light, seeing things kind of through the same lens, which is amazing. Most people don't think that. But Adams was a deist. He wasn't a fundamentalist. Jefferson was more of a deist Christian, like John. More into this, the philosophical concept. Okay. And honestly, that's where some of the most grounded, intellectually honest Christians end up. They recognize the arguments and they recognize there's no proving and disproving, but they don't have any substantive proof. All they can do is make intellectual arguments, okay? And without substantive proof, then you can't cross the line, okay? It becomes conjectural speculation. That's what I explained, this whole idea about creationism. It's not a theory. It's a hypothesis, because to have a theory, you have to have actual observable connection to reality. And that basically begins to validate your hypothesis, and that's the beginning of it becoming an accepted theory. But that's the line that you cross between a hypothesis. You actually have linkage to reality. All of this, none of these belief systems, as they're told, that the supernatural component, there's no there's no linkage there. Okay. So, stripping away the supernatural reveals a moral teacher. True. You're left with the figure who, see, this is what it is. You take all that out of there, and then you get this stuff. This was basically what he was saying. See, it's why people compare. See, these core ideas. Okay, these are axiomatic truth. That's what you do. You study all of it, and you find things that are common between them, and you find a handful of things that are common threads. That like I said, you have to have the hook, or otherwise people won't go with it. It has to resonate on some level, or it won't. People can't naturally go with it. Then you can discern once you understand. But in the beginning, you can be drawn into almost anything if you don't understand anything. See, it's the comfort of the crowd. When people, when you're born into the world, man, you're following immediately. You don't know any shit from Shiola. You have to learn how to make your own way in this world. See, it's a skill. Philosophical Christians focus on ethics, not miracles. See, this is the thing. Just take that all. I don't have a problem talking about the core substantive value. What are the virtuous concepts separate from all this other stuff? See, it's a worldview, not a rule book. See, that's the thing. They create this lens, and once you basically understand the lens and manage it properly, then you basically come to the idea that you have to reconcile. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there's a lot of good philosophical content in all of this ancient stuff. You just have to learn how to parse it. And like I said, that's comes with what we know and don't know, a proper method, which we know. Fundamentalism is a different psychological world, see? Isn't about evidence. See, it's about all of this stuff, claims of certainty. See? When someone's entire worldview is built on this must be literally true, they can't easily engage. So you just can't get anywhere, and that's what happens. You learn to talk about something else with these people. you've done what historians do. See, peel away. See, what emerges is that see, this is what comes out of it. Start see, and like I explained, the reason why this all caught fire, why this all had, he had the proper hooks. It had traction in the time and place and the people and what was going on in their lives. That Roman world was a brutal world. There's no three ways about it. Mythologize, okay? Your approach mirrors that exactly. The philosophical Jesus is actually more interesting. He kind of understood some of the basic Zen concepts, really. What they call core Zen concepts. He understood them. Because he becomes a human wrestling with meaning, so a moral visionary in a brutal world. So he was contrasting. So much had been normalized and accepted, and he was saying, wait a minute, we don't really have to be like that. See? And he understood this balance of power that was oppressive. And he understood the people have to be mindful. It's mindfulness. See, this is now we get into the mindfulness concept. That's where compassion comes from. A flawed but compelling figure, no doubt. He was just a guy, but he had the proper focus. Even though, like I speak to the practicality of some of it's a little bit off. You don't need miracles to appreciate that. So I'm not alone here. This is what, see, not a supernatural. These people here, I guess, Thomas Jefferson. See, this is the thing. Jefferson was the one that really had a clarity about this. And so did Adams, to be honest with you. Franklin was okay, and Washington was interesting because he was into Providence, but he wasn't into all this fundamentalist stuff. He was into the divine, he was into Providence, okay, and he was into all that. And he was an interesting guy, but he wasn't like, a hardcore fundamentalist, It's interesting when you actually study them. I remember I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? John Adams wasn't he, no, he wasn't. He wasn't a preacher. He was a speaker. He was well read, but he was a deist. He didn't believe in all the supernatural stuff, but he believed in all the philosophical stuff that had virtuous value. Okay. His teachings were good, but too ideological in some ways. Now we're getting into this here. What time is it? 12. Extreme. See, his vision is powerful. Love your enemies. Okay, I want to get into this here. Look, I care about people. I want my enemies to be nice people, but I can't make them be nice people. Loving them is not going to make them nice. I can't. I see. Love is the law. When it's mutual. Otherwise, you have detachment. So I choose to detach from people who are, okay, not loving. Once they show the proper attitude, mutual respect, and mindfulness, then they're candidates for sharing and mutual respect and cooperation, and that can eventually grow into some kind of love relationship at some point. It all starts with mutual cooperation and respect and mindfulness of each other. That's where compassion comes from. So love your enemies? No, I don't love enemies. I don't want them to be enemies. I want them to be my friend. I don't want, whatever the differences is, we should be able to work them out. See, understanding is the key to the whole thing. Willing to understand. A willingness. Okay? That's where the mutual respect thing comes in. And once that's not there, I don't choose hate. I just don't want to have a whole lot to do with those people. And if they want to have something to do with me, then I have no choice but to have something to do with them. See, it's all up to them, isn't it? They define who they are, not me. Turn the other cheek. This is about measured response. I don't want to choose violence unless I absolutely have to use it. I've been in plenty of scuffles, and I've been hit a couple times, and slapped a couple times. And I beat one guy up really bad one time, and I beat another guy up, not too bad, but he had to quit. And I took another guy down on the basketball court. He wanted to fight, so I took him down. He was bigger than me, but I was quicker and stronger than he was. So he was in trouble when he started that shit. Turn the other cheek. Again, I don't choose, say, you choose that, then I have to respond to it. Otherwise, it's detachment. The gray rock method. Don't even say anything, just kind of look at them. Don't say hardly anything at all. That's the thing, you know. You're observing. You understand that there's a problem on the other side, and you're not going to solve it right away. The best thing to do is try to learn as much as you can, which means observation. See, that's the thing. I mean, I'm hopeful that you're a good person, but you know, I don't blindly trust anyone or anything. I don't have an obligation. See, I'm not a pure altruist. I understand altruism in its what I call basic idea, but I'm not into this. There's no obligation to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. Fuck that bullshit. Give to everyone who asks. Look, if there's somebody in need and I can help out, I'll do that. But I'm just not going to arbitrarily give because I'm obligated to sacrifice myself for the greater good. This is where this ultra altruism comes in. That's absurdity on steroids. I never bought into that. Doesn't make any sense. I'm willing to share when I decide to do so and when it makes sense and when I can. I'm not obligated, say. And if you're a jerk, I don't want to help you at all. But again, there's what I call the human side of the equation. I may not like you personally, you know, but I grew up in the country. In the middle of the winter, somebody gets stuck in the sidewalk in the middle of a snowstorm. It's fucking, you know, 20-mile-an-hour winds and friggin', you know, 10 below zero, the fucking blizzard out there. And they're stuck, you know, and you find out it's somebody you don't really like. Am I just going to fucking leave them there? No. I'm going to get them out of there, even though I don't like them. I don't know, just the way I am. Unless you're a really fucking asshole, then I won't have anything to do with you, period. But when it comes to that kind of thing, it's just this thing where it doesn't make any difference if I like you or not. It's just a human thing to do. I know what to say about that. It's like these guys, they save these animals and people. They risk their lives to save other people's lives. These heroes that save these animals, gosh, my heart goes out to them because they're just innocent creatures. The ones that get stuck in the traps, they need to make trapping illegal. I swear to God, that's the most inhumane thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. It makes me sick when I see it. But it has a purpose to people who live in the middle of fucking nowhere, I guess. I don't want to get too deep into that, but it's because of money. They need to sell the pelts so they can buy whatever they need. You know, it just disgusts me. As much as I like living out, and I'll take a game, but it's a humane thing. This trapping thing is not humane. Anyway, we're not in that. We're not in that survival. There's no reason to go there anymore. This is what gets me about these people. And these people have these game ranches where you can go hunt the animals for a price. Fuck you. Do not resist an evil person. What do you mean resist an evil person? Do not resist an evil person. Sell all you have, and I don't know where I got that. It's rephrasing something. It's an evil person. I guess it says do not ignore an evil person, maybe. Sell all you have and give to the poor. See, that was the idealistic. See, if you want to be perfect, he said, if you want to be perfect, in that point in time where he thought it was, see, you just sell everything and help where you can. But that was too much for the guy. He was a thinker. He realized that was too ideological. Hey, I don't have a problem being nice and helping out here, but you want to give up everything I own and give it to, and then be not, huh? No, I'll pass on that. These are normally beautiful. See, they sound wonderful. They sound idealistic. See, they're aspirational but not operational. That's what I mentioned to my friend Bruce. Love thy neighbor as thyself. You can't do that. You can treat others as you would like to be treated, but self-love is a unique love. So loving thy neighbor as thyself is impossible. That's an impossible thing because these are different relationships. Love relationships are different. Say, loving yourself is different than loving somebody else. That's what Bart gets into that with the Good Samaritan, explaining how it's really about uh, um, um, not sacrificing. You have to watch the video. I forget exactly what he said there, but let's go on with this. Too demanding. They'll fit. They don't fit a reasonable world. So this is an idealistic world that I don't want to have anything to do with. As good as it sounds, see, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. See, if you're not thinking your way down the path, and if you're just blindly going with this and that and not thinking your way along, you get led down a slippery slope to hell. The teachings were shaped by apocalyptic urgency. This is what's very important to understand about all of that. See, they were in a hurry because they thought it was coming soon, and that's what you get it. You understand it. It's a different way of looking at the way they were writing and how they were thinking about things and why they were doing what they were doing. Once you get this part of it, it puts it in different conceptual perception. See? Be ready all the time, see? It's all coming apart. Don't worry, I'll fix it. We don't need long-term planning, economic strategy, political reform, see? Because it was coming soon. Just need to prepare. Be in the immediate. Don't worry about, see? Be right with God because it's happening. See, this is what they believe. Once you remove the apocalyptic framework, the teachings become beautiful, but unrealistic. So you try to live it, and you see it, and you understand these people. That's what Einstein was saying. If you think you're earning your way into heaven by doing nice things, and see, if you think it's all about reward and punishment, then we are a sorry lot indeed. And those are his exact words. He basically worked his way into a deism type of thing, kind of like Spinoza. He just trusted his and pulled the stake out that he was circling and moved on down the line. That's what you do. You go with it because we learn all the time. Philosophical Christians reinterpret the teachings metaphorically. This is why you get along with them. This is it. Transformed way of living. Say it's the two or more you are gathered in my name. In other words, the Spirit, which is mutual respect, and cooperation, which is really what's going on there. Create that proper place. This is exactly the ethical core without the literalism. Okay, the philosophical core of Jesus is still valuable. See, you're left with all of this. See, the forgiveness thing is part of the altruism problem. I don't blindly forgive anyone. If you don't own it, I'm not going to forgive you for shit. That's the thing. If you don't own it, then how am I going to forgive you something you don't even recognize that you did? I don't exactly know how to explain that. I'll let things go if we can work it out, but I'm just not going to blindly let it go just because I'm supposed to. Fuck that shit. You own it or you don't. If you don't want to own it and talk about it and get some kind of reasonable, understanding about what has happened, then we can go forward. Otherwise, how the hell am I? So you just blindly forgive because that's the proper thing to do? No, owning your shit is the proper thing to do. That's the thing. about that. All right. I'm more than willing to let things go if you're willing to own your shit. Okay? I'll own what I need to own in this world. You need to own what you need to own in this world. I'm not going to own what you think I should own or what you want me to own. Fuck that. Okay? Okay, I care for the marginalized. Yeah, of course, it's just basically compassion. I'll help out where I can, but I have no obligation to do so. And if I haven't got the resources, what am I going to do? I'll do what I can. But if I ain't got nothing to share, I ain't got nothing to share. A lot of people are like that. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't have anything extra. And it's getting more and more like that, isn't it? Critique of hypocrisy. Okay. Inner transformation. This is very important here. This is very important here. Be the change that you seek in this world. And when people are basically, it's good to speak up. Okay. Oh, by the way, I don't really particularly agree with that because of this and that and the other thing. Especially when it's what I call harmful. See, harm is not always hitting. Attitudes are harmful. How you treat people is harmful. How you treat yourself can be harmful. How you think about yourself, your own your self-image is extremely important in this world. How you see yourself is very, very, and it has a lot to do with your mental health, your ability to deal with things, your self-image. That's a solid ethical framework, not one that needs grounding in a real world practically. You're doing what many modern thinkers do. Thank you, thank you. Just a thinking man. I'm a lot like Marcus, actually. Socrates, Marcus Aurelius. And a mix of this. A voice of wisdom, not a supernatural being. And honestly, that's a far more stable foundation. See? So there you go. If you want, we can explore. So that was the second piece of this thing. So I'll post this one. Maybe I'll get comments, maybe not. But I'm almost done my oatmeal here. I got to get some eggs in me, and I'll get out there about 1:30, I guess. It's going to be cool today. I think that was our last little cool spell because we're into early April now. We rarely get anything past. If we haven't gotten, we got a small storm, then a pretty good one. But that was it this year. And it tried. I think it snowed up in the mountains last night, the night before last. I think it snowed up there, up at the pass. But otherwise, I think we're done, which is a good thing. But yeah, I gotta get out to get my run in. I'll have to snuggle up because it's like I said, it's gonna be the sun will be out, but it's not. It won't break probably 55. So I get chilly easy, so I have to because I'm older. You say until I get warmed up. See the first half of the run takes me about a mile to get comfortably warm, and then everything's cool. Literally speaking, everything's cool. So anyway, there's my thing on Jesus, and more later.